Hello, my name is Becca, welcome back to my channel, and today I am bringing you my top 10 series TBR. That wasn't a very good explanation. Essentially, this is the top of my series TBR pile. Just to clarify, this does not even actually scratch the surface of what my actual TBR is. These are purely series that are on my shelves where I have more than one book in the series and I haven't even started them yet. I do also have plenty of standalones that I haven't started. I have plenty of first books in series that I haven't started, and I have plenty of random like third or fourth books in my series and not the first book, so I couldn't read them even if I wanted to. But without further ado, let's just get on to my top 10 series. Number 10, the one that I would least like to read, is Divergent by Veronica Roth. I don't know much about this apart from my friend won't stop nagging me to read it. This is essentially on my TBR because I just want it gone. I don't think I'll like it very much and I'm sick of seeing it, and I just feel like I have to read it so that I can get rid of it. To be fair, I may like it, I have no idea, and if I do then I'm sure I'll eat my words, but right now I just want to read it so that it can leave my shelves. As for what it's about, I've seen the film and I didn't like that very much at all. I think it's about a girl, and when you get to a certain age you go to some sort of ceremony and you get sorted into what your job will be. And this girl, who I believe is called Beatrice and it's shortened to Tris, she thinks that she'll be in the same group as her family are in. I believe they plant things or harvest things or something like that. And she's actually divergent, which is somebody who does not fall into any of the categories that people can be sorted into. So she picks, I think she chooses to be Dauntless, which is sort of like the soldiers of the community, and as for what happens from there, I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember the film very much and I didn't really follow what was going on when I was watching it anyway. Number 9 is the Chaos Walking Trilogy by Patrick Ness. I have the first and second book, and the first one is The Knife of Never Letting Go. I've had these for a while as well. I picked them up in maybe 2013 or 14. I just never read them. I believe that this is about a boy who lives in a town where everybody can hear everybody else's thoughts, and then one day he either goes somewhere, I think he goes somewhere, and he can't hear anybody else's thoughts, and he wants to know why, and the story unfolds from there. I do want to read more of Patrick Ness's books, so I'm excited to read this, but as time has gone on, I think I would rather read a different Patrick Ness book first, like The Monster Called or something like that. But these are the ones that I have and I will read them at some point. Number 8 is The Dark Artifices by Cassandra Clare. I bought this when it came out, and I also have Lord of Shadows now as well, but I haven't started them. I do want to read these, but they are absolutely huge. I read The Mortal Instruments when I think it was the same year that City of Heavenly Fire came out, and I absolutely loved them. They were my favourite series for a while. But then this year I read The Infernal Devices, which everybody seems to think is better than The Mortal Instruments, but I didn't like them very much. They were okay. I much preferred The Mortal Instruments. I loved the characters in The Infernal Devices, but I didn't really like the plot or anything else about it. So I'm kind of wary about going into The Dark Artifices because I used to love, I loved The Mortal Instruments, so I assumed I would love everything by Cassandra Clare, and now I'm worried that I won't, so I'm putting this off a little bit. It's very shiny. The Dark Artifices is about the Blackthorn and the Carstairs children, I think, that were introduced in City of Heavenly Fire, and I believe that this one is set in LA, so it'll follow the Institute and the Shadowhunters there. I do want to read it, but at the same time I think I'll be putting it off for a little bit longer. Number 7 is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. I've had the first one on my shelf for a couple of years, and I recently got the second one, which is it A Dream of Something in Starlight? I was really interested in these when I first found out about them, and I still am really interested. I just haven't got around to reading them yet. With Strange the Dream coming out, I want to read some Laini Taylor books even more. I've heard that her writing is absolutely beautiful, and I'm starting to get more into adult fantasy, which in the UK this series is classed as adult fantasy, whereas I believe in the US it's classed as YA. I believe it is about a girl who was raised by some sort of strange monster type person, but she has no idea why. She doesn't know how she got into his custody, if there's any reason why she was given to him. and I believe she lives half in our world and half in a alternate dimension called Elsewhere. Number 6 is the Winners Trilogy by Marie Rutowski. This, I've picked these up recently from a charity shop. I have the first 2. I don't really know what they're about, but I know a lot of people have read them. I believe that it's dystopian or post-apocalyptic, and it's about a girl who has a choice between going into the army or getting married, but she doesn't want to do either, and I believe she buys a slave at an auction and starts to maybe fall in love with him. I have no idea why. I've heard mixed reviews about these, but I still really want to read them, and I think the covers are absolutely beautiful with the silver foil. Number 5 is Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page. I've had this on my shelf since it first came out. I bought the American paperback as well with the floppy spine, so I was really into it enough to buy the American copy instead of the UK. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll probably know that I love fairy tale retellings, which is the main thing that drew me to this. When I was a kid, The Wizard of Oz was my favourite film. I was completely obsessed with it. Even now, we still watch it at least once every Christmas at some point. I've just been so excited to get to this, and I just haven't started. I have the second book as well. This is about the other girl that goes to Kansas, and I believe her name is Amy Gum, and she gets swept up in a whirlwind just like Dorothy, and she's transported to Oz, obviously, and I believe that the evil person in Oz is actually Dorothy, who we believe is the hero. Number 4 is the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. I've heard great things about these. They're a little bit daunting. I picked up The Wise Man's Fear last week, and it's like nearly 1,000 pages, I think, so they're much bigger than I thought they were, and also a lot bigger than they look. As for what this is about, I believe it's about a guy called Kavoth, and I thought he was an assassin originally, but I don't think he is. I'm not entirely sure what he is, but I know he's quite a notorious character. I think it's him telling his story of his life, started from when he was a child, and I think a lot of the story takes place where he is an adolescent, around 15, 16, 17, that kind of age. It's adult fantasy. I've heard great things about this and great things about Patrick Rothfuss, and I'm just really excited to dive in to like a epic adult fantasy series. Number 3 is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I want to read all of Brandon Sanderson's books eventually, providing that I like this series, and I really just want to read these to find out if I like adult fantasy as a whole and if I like Brandon Sanderson. I don't see why I wouldn't. People say that he's great at world building and his magic systems are phenomenal, so I can't see anything that I won't like, and I think even if I didn't like them, I would buy them just for the covers because they're just so beautiful. This is one of the rare occasions where the UK covers are better than the US, because that never ever happens. Like, trust me, just never happens. It's just so beautiful. The storyline for this, I'm not sure what the actual plot is. I just know that apparently the world is fantastic. The magic system is centered around metals, so to have magical powers you ingest metals. Some people can only ingest one, some people can ingest multiple, and there are a handful of people that can ingest any metal and have a wide range of powers, and they are known as the Mistborn. Number 2 on this list is Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. I have almost started reading these so many times, but then I just look at how big they are and I just don't start them. Every time Game of Thrones is on the TV, I really want to read them, but then when an opening comes up in my TBR where I could slot Game of Thrones in, I just don't, essentially. I don't know. Especially with watching the TV show now, I'm hoping that the books add an extra dimension. Otherwise, I would much rather just watch the TV show than tackle these epic books. But they're adult fantasy, which is what I want to get into, and they are epic fantasies. They're hardcore fantasies. From what I've seen of the TV show, the storyline is absolutely amazing. I just need to work up the courage to tackle such a huge, just a huge first book to start off with, but a series with many books and thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. As for the storyline of Game of Thrones, I'm sure I don't have to tell you what it's about, because I just assume that everybody knows what Game of Thrones is about. But it is essentially about these 7 kingdoms. It is about the king of the 7 kingdoms and the houses that support him. There's many different houses, they all have different allies, they all have different agendas, and it is essentially about them fighting amongst themselves, both physically and through politics, to get what they want. And number one on my list of my top 10 series TBR is Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I picked up the first 3 books of these when I was in Florida last year. I believe that they're a YA Game of Thrones type thing. I believe they're told from many different perspectives, like Game of Thrones, but I don't really know what the storyline's about. By the look of the cover, I'll enjoy it anyway. It's a fantasy, it seems more of a high fantasy, which is what I like, and I'm just super excited. Apart from the storyline and me thinking that I'll like it, I also love the covers. Also, because it's American, it just stays open, and that's like, unless you've read many stiff-spined UK books, you have no idea what a luxury this is. Like, I wish we pressed books like this. Why don't we? So from the back, I believe it's about a princess, the king's son, and a rebel. They all have different alliances. I'm guessing it's just a lot like Game of Thrones and a lot of high fantasy series, but I just hope it's good because it looks good. And I bought all 3 books brand new from Barnes & Noble, so I just really want them to be good, and I want to pick them up as soon as possible. So that's it for my top 10 series TBR. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. These top 10 videos at the minute are some of my favourite things to film, second only to book hauls, because I just like to talk about all the different books that I have and what I want to read and what I have read. If you have read any of these books, please leave a comment below, tell me what I should read first, because I don't have any idea. I'd say apart from the ones that I put at like the bottom 3 of the list, I want to read them all equally as much. Like, I'd happily read any of them. They're just sat on my search shelves, and I just really need to read them, and I want to, and I don't really know what's stopping me. At the minute it's rereads, but after that I might pick one up if I can decide which one. But thank you for watching. If you like it, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Bye!